Hello and welcome back, everyone. In this lesson, I'm going to hand over to you my standard operating procedure. I spent a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears building over this thing, going over this procedure and building it through, okay? A lot of training hours, my team, a lot of my senior media buyers and I going through it and just dissecting the data and figuring out what is the most efficient. It was hard for me to hand this over, but, the thing is, I believe in just giving. I believe in altruism, and I believe as long as you're giving fully, you're going to get looked out after. So this is really a great procedure, and we're always tinkering with it, changing things. But as of right now, it's working amazing, and I'd love to share with you guys. All right. So this is mediocre marketers think in terms of campaigns. Great marketers think in terms of growth frameworks. All right, by the man Neil Patel. Neil Patel owns a lot of awesome metric and tech companies. You should look them up. So this is the 20K a day systems framework, the standard operating procedure to get you to 20K a day. Now we're going to spend most of the time on the testing method. Testing is so very important. Okay, I can't stress this enough. Testing is really where you want to spend most of the time, figuring out in your media buying procedure. So I spent a lot of time figuring this out. I changed it time after time after time. The one I have right now has been proven by far the most efficient and the best for time for the media buyers, and also just for making the most profit. So let's check this thing out. I already have it right here. Okay, so starts off over here in the testing. And we went over this briefly. We're going to go through the whole thing, okay? So at first, this is the testing section, and start here. First, you want to grab assets from the creative repository. Like I said, copy and paste these and copy those. This is just the media buying procedure, not the copywriting procedure. Come in here, and then you want to paste those into the dynamic creatives. So you want to find the audiences like I did. Go to your audience reports, look at the data, look at the audience report you have in Ads Manager, and get your audiences placed in. So first we want to build out a campaign with 10 different ad sets, okay? I'm not going to show you how to build a campaign. I mean, I can if you want to, but if this is an advanced media buying course, you should know how. Okay, so usually I go in here, I put in the product name, and then I put in, well first actually what I do is I put in test, or if we're going to put or DR for direct response, or MOF or BOF for middle of funnel or bottom of funnel, because I use this as tags to pull out of one of my analytics for my Supermetrics sheets. I'll get into that later. And then what I do is the product name, and I put if I'm doing interests, I just put interests like that. Then I make another one that says lookalike or LAA. And then also I put in the date. And I just make it real simple. So 1/25, that's today. So, oh, there's one more step I missed. Pilot, I was missing something. This is the pilot phase, and I usually put it for 50 bucks. Okay, that's how we create the first pilot campaign. All right. So right here, pilot campaign. Pilot just means it's the first. Okay, that's usually what that word means, and that's why I put that there. I think that's what it means. I don't know. So this is the first section of the testing phase. So then I build this out. I put 10 ad sets in it. First thing we do is we put this naming convention. Usually I put the product name again, because like I said when I showed you in this audience report, everything I do is for a reason. We're going off the product name, and also the if it's interest, these are all interests. So that's why I put that again in right here. Name. And then I put interests, and then I put whatever I'm interested in, or sorry, it's been a late night. Whatever I'm targeting. So say we'll put travel plus leggings or something like that, just for an example. Okay. Then I come in here and I put the gender, W for woman, or you could put F for female. And then we put in the age, which is for this demographic is usually around 35 plus. So that's how I have it set up. So if I'm doing lookalikes, we set it up like this. Do 1% LAA, and then I put the audience, top 20% AOV or something like that. That's what the audience is that that's 1% off of. So I do that, and then for here, woman, 35 plus, I don't put in anything else. The reason is that we're always using 7 days click or 1 day view 80% of the time, and for testing, it's always that. It's always worked the best for us. I would test 1 day click every once in a while, but this has always worked best for us. And then we usually use conversions 80 to 90% of the time. So this means that everything else is default. Now, if I'm using value, I put another line, I'd put value. So that's all. If it's not default, we put in what we changed. That we don't put in auto placements because we're always using automatic placements. The reason Facebook's more powerful than you think. I personally think when you're using edit placements all the time, you're telling Facebook that you know better and you don't know better. Facebook knows better, okay? I'm telling you, I would always exclude things like, oh, no one ever buys off of Facebook Marketplace. That's me being ignorant, using my own biases. I'm telling you, go look at your dynamic report. Go over to Ads Manager. Look at the breakdowns. Look at the delivery. Look at the placements. Okay, see where the placements are happening. Are they happening? And sometimes if Facebook puts it in the marketplace, it usually has a purchase in the marketplace. It only puts it there for a reason. Okay, so don't use your own biases here. Go off Facebook. Facebook's very intelligent. Now, that being said, for certain retargeting, if I'm just using, like, say, a cold audience, just using stories, then yes, I will just use stories here. Okay, there's certain times where I use just stories or just feed for a certain retargeting. A lot of times I use just right column, but you really don't even have to do that still, because when you go to creatives, you could come in here, and what you could do is make the when you put in the ad, you put in the image, just put in an image here. I use a stock photo, so that way it's not for the client. You could make this, you could edit the placement, select the placement. Okay, so for right column, I want to crop it because it's going to be like this, and it should really be like this. So that's how you want to do that. You want to edit the placements here, so you don't even need to have specific placements. You can edit the creative per placement, all using automatic placements. So anyways, so that's how we have that set up here. We go to dynamic creative, continue. All right, something I always do here for building out the audience is I always exclude people that have engaged the last 30 days or 14 days, somewhere around there. I usually do 30 days. Exclude the customers. If you have a customer list, that works even better. I have one in there. I'm just lazy to put it. And also the bouncers. Remember how we just made this one? Bouncers last 180 days. So we're not showing it to customers. This is cold audience. We don't want to show it to people that are seeing our ads. And we don't want to show it to people that don't want to see our ads, the bouncers. And we don't want to show it to people that already buy and they're not ready for cold audience type of creatives. So now we just exclude all that. Put our interest targeting, okay? And then when we do the interest targeting, when you're testing, don't do this. Don't do this thing that people do all the time. Everyone does that, and you're just literally just spending more money on Facebook because everyone does that. What I honestly find the best is just doing one and testing 10 different other ones single, okay? Because if you have 10 different interests and it's working, you don't know what's really working. If anything, if I'm doing more than one, I'll narrow it down. I'll just do, say just for example, I know you should just say I shouldn't do this, but for example, I'll do it like this, and I'll put frequent travelers and Patagonia or something like that, okay? So that's how we do that. Conversions, you could use value. If you're retargeting, sometimes a good retargeting tactic is to use landing page views. So that's how we set up the ad sets usually. And then for testing, that's how we set it up. Here we put our naming convention. We should put the product name. and we should put dynamic. The reason I put dynamic is because when I'm in the ads reporting, I want to be able to just type in ad name contains dynamic and look at how all of our dynamic creatives are doing. If you don't know how to do your naming conventions, everything should be there for a reason. You know, I'm doing the product name because I want to look at that product when I filter through the data. And then if we want to look at what angle is doing, so then we usually put the angle. Actually, right here it's the pilot. We want to look at how all the pilot testing is doing. We'll type it through there. If we want to look at how all this angle is doing, we'll put the angle on there. That's how we have the naming conventions for the ad. All right. And then after we test it, after we get past this dynamic phase, and here we put it into an incubator campaign and make it to a regular ad, and that's when we come in here and we take this. We go 5. It'll be 5F, the best, or 5E. That's when we put that in the naming convention. After we do this testing procedure here, and we change it from dynamic to regular, and then we put in the winner, we duplicate it in here. We'll go through that right now. Okay. So then you come in here, we put in our dynamic creatives. We just copy and paste it from a repository. Super easy for the media buyer. Copy and paste everything in here exactly how we want it to be. Okay. And then what you want to do is, so then we come in here. Okay, so the first step, boom. Let's go over here and let's get over to Ads Manager. Leave this page. I'm going to show you some actual testing campaigns we're doing right now in real time. So this is today. This is funny. It's the same ad account that was at 1.1. I just showed you. Anyway, so the past couple days. So this is with testing. We started all those new testing procedures in the past couple campaigns. So I usually put the date on there so I know. So for example, this is a pilot. This is a pilot. This one was not doing good. So what we had, these were the 3. Actually, not this one. It was, yeah, this one here. These were the 3. Since these are blurred out, I'll read to you what they are. So this one right here is a U.S. Open pilot campaign. Like this procedure, I'm actually doing. I'm not just saying some method to do without actually trying it. Like we've been doing this for a while. Okay. So I have this one is a U.S. Open, which I always know does amazing. This is lookalikes, which just did terrible, completely bombed. Same creatives too. And this one is the interests. Interests did great. All right. So these ran for the past 3 days. So actually the past 4 days. Yesterday we started yesterday we duplicated it. So these run. I just showed you how to hook up the dynamic creatives. You know how to do the audiences. You go in here. These run for 3 days. Okay. And then after 3 days, what we do is we duplicate these. So I would go here. I would click on these, except for the U.S. Open one. So I would take off the U.S. Open, get the interest and the lookalike, and then I would go look at the data. And I'd say, okay, so we got, this is obviously the winners here. If you go with the purchase and also maybe the cost per initiate checkout or cost per add to cart, and also the cost per click and that type of stuff there. Whatever your KPIs are and metrics, when I showed you from this target CPA and ROAS calculator. Look at those which look in your KPI, and then you would take those here, those ad sets that are winning. Just say there's 2. It's a lot of testing. We just got 2 good audiences here. So we would take those 2 audiences, and then we know, and then we would duplicate them into a new ad set. So we would duplicate them into here, and we would see. So we would duplicate the top 3 interests, or the top 4 interests, duplicate the top 4 lookalikes. So, some of these didn't get purchases, but say like, for example, This one right here got a great cost per click and a great click-through rate. So we would also do that one. So there's another one there. You know, that one got a pretty bad ROAS. This one did amazing too. That one did pretty good. So I'd have my media buyer go through here. He knows how to analyze it better than I do. So we would duplicate those into a new campaign. Okay, new campaign. Put in this would be the opt1. So it would be a test still, opt1. Okay, and then it would still be the product name, and then the date. Very simple. Okay, and then we would come in here and hit duplicate. So we're not editing any of it, we're not changing any of this. And these ads, if these are still doing good, these campaigns here, we don't turn them off. We duplicate them, we're not touching anything out here. The only thing that we would touch is, say if like this one is doing completely terrible, I would turn off the ad, not the ad set. Remember how I said that, you know, in the CBO, machine learning, after 3 days, if it's doing really bad, just turn off the ad. We would wait that, and we would keep these on. Rule of thumb, I don't care what your procedure says, if something's still working amazing, don't turn it off. Don't stop what's working, because Facebook, you know, it's hard to get stuff to work right. And sometimes some things work right which you don't think that would, and you just start scaling that, and that's what makes a lot of money, okay? So keep these running. So we duplicate it, and then we make the changes here in the draft mode, which is right here. Okay, go over to draft. So now we're in this one. It's saying switch to automatic bidding. This thing is being weird. So then we want to come in here and we want to make some supersets. So we would say this one, we take the interest from this one here and the interest from this one here, combine them, and do that until we get at least 8 to 10. Okay. So 8 to 10 complete ad sets. So do that 2 or 3 or 4 more times. So then we carried some supersets here. Now we have this, we increase the budget to $150. Then what we also do is we go over to the dynamic creative, which I'm not going to show you because that's the assets from my client here. And then we go in there, and what we're going to do, we would do is we go to the breakdown. Actually, I could just show you like this. We'd go to breakdown. Usually I open up a different tab, and I go to here, and I go to the breakdown, and then that's when I have my dynamic creative assets. Then we go to, you know, what's the best image that's working, and I have this another tab that I'm building that. Then I would come in the other campaign that we're building, the new one, and I would take off the worst image, take off the worst copy, and take off like one of everything that's doing the worst. Okay, just optimize it a little bit. So all you do is you duplicate the winners in a new campaign. You name it opt1. It's the first time we're optimizing it. Take away some of the dynamic creatives that are doing terrible. Now, you never want to have just one of all the dynamic creatives, because even if you have 2 or 3 that are doing just okay, you want to leave them on there. That's why I just take off one, because after the winner dynamic variable gets ad fatigue, it's going to swap it out for you, which is why it's so awesome. And then you don't have to, and you're not going to get ad fatigue for a while. So it's good to have some loaded ready. So that's why you take one of the worst. If they're all doing great, just leave them all. Okay, and then we duplicate that in here, and then we increase the budget. This is all in the draft mode. Then we schedule it for the next day to start, anywhere from midnight to around 2 a.m. In this campaign here. We do all that in draft mode. This has all the ad sets here. This says we optimize these dynamic creatives. We come in here, we make sure this is scheduled for tomorrow. So do that, and then we hit publish, okay? And then this thing runs for 3 days. 3 days without touching. That's how we do this one. The US Open one. This one, if it's easy. If it's doing great, duplicate it. Actually, we don't even duplicate it. We just increase the budget. And if we will take off some bad variables. Sometimes usually I don't even touch the dynamic creatives. So this one we this USA Open campaign, we just increase the budget. It says duplicate, but I know we don't do that. That's old. We realize duplicating it makes the first one go bad. It's funny, when you have a good one and you duplicate it, this one just starts going bad. So we just start increasing the budget, and that worked way better. So we increase the budgets and cut some of the bad variables sometimes. Usually we're just increasing the budget. That's what we did here. Let's just delete that because we're done with that example. So this one here, it's been running for the past 5 days, and we just been increasing the budget slowly. That's all we do really, and we just change every time we increase the budget. We change it to opt 1, opt 2. Every time we change the dynamic variable, we make an edit. We change that on there. So this one here, duplicate, cut the fat, increase the budget. This one here, check if we really need to cut the fat. Usually just increase the budget. Okay, so it's doing the testing for us. I used to have a procedure where I would isolate the copy and run a bunch of different campaigns with all these different ads and different than just the copy, then isolate just the headline, and it was like, it takes so much time. I eventually just switched over to dynamic creatives. It's getting way better results, way faster, way easier, way less work. Everything is more efficient. So that's why we use dynamic creatives. And also dynamic creatives have been, they're really easy. They've been working great, even at a high scale. So I never turn these off unless they start going bad. So even if I get all the way down to this section here, this is still running. I usually have a rule. I'll show you how to set up the rules. A rule that slowly increases the budget. You know, if it has like over the past 3 days has a 2.2 ROAS or more, it'll increase it by 30%. You know, I have that rule set up so it just starts scaling it. After a month, I think it'd be at around $2,000 if it's still going, which would be amazing, which is, you know, rare, but that does happen. So now we're over here. I'll show you this. We just canceled this because we were doing this and we realized that it's actually affecting the machine learning too much. You could test this if you want. We used to put a minimum spending limits of 90% of this was a formula we used to use. I've been realizing the less constraints is the better. So what we used to do is take the total CBO budget, which is $50, divided by 10 ad sets, so $5 times 90%. I don't know how I came up with that. So I thought that would create all the 10 ad sets to spend evenly, so they'd all get tested evenly. It makes sense, and it did work sometimes. And then some ad sets we tested not doing that. Some campaigns and the 10 ad sets just loose, and it would just spend 3 ad sets and 1 here. And I started realizing like those would work a lot better. And it's probably for a reason, because Facebook knows it's spending the budget on that ad set on purpose, for a reason. So we just canceled that, but we left that there just because that's a recent change. So now what we do is we let this run for 3 days, okay? And then we come in here and we go into Ads Manager, and we come here, we get all the, there should be four ad sets, okay? This is exactly what I have here, 4 ad sets. This one, 1, 2, 3, same one, and 4, okay? This should be after these running for 6 days. This one, this new one, opt 1, is running for 3 past days. This is running for the past 6 days. We come in here and we look at the data, all right? Come in here and we go to, these are all dynamic. We go to breakdowns and we go to, look at whatever is the best. So then what we want to do, we have a different tab open of all this data, or I have like a dynamic creative report I use for supermetrics. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the best, after having all this data here and optimizing it, taking the best image variable, the best headline variable, and the best copy, all this stuff. I mean, it was one here. We log it in here. We say, okay, this is the best, this is the best, this is the best after this campaign. Okay, and then we create these ads, an actual post ID of a regular ad, non-dynamic, because we know it works, so now we're going to start stacking the social proof of we know what people like. Okay, now there's a lot of strategy that goes into this section right here. This is an incubator, but it also does a lot of other things. So this is from doing this testing procedure over years and just keep on optimizing it. So this phase right here, phase 3, this is for the CBO optimizing and social proof. So what we do is we make a reach ad. So we have this open, all that data was open in one tab over here. And then we look at the data and we go ads manager, we go into our incubator campaign. This is a new testing account, so I just set this up. Only have one in here. And what we do is look at that cost per click. I wonder what is it? I've been check that out. Nice. So what we do is we make a reach campaign. Let me show you the targeting on this. Okay. Actually, before I get off track, we have that other tab open. Okay. We look at the data. We pull the data. We create new ads. We go in here and we create the best regular ad, the best image, the best copy, a new ad from all the testing that we did from the dynamic variables. We come in here, we publish that ad with it turned off, and then what we do is go over here, go to page posts, okay? And then we find the new post, the new ad that just published, and then we grab the ID. This is a different, it doesn't matter, you can't see anyway, it's a different client. We grab the post ID, and then it's going to be off the ad section, just so you know. Grab the post ID, then you put that in right here. And then when we put this in, I'm not showing you just because I want you to, I guess, well, yeah, I'm just going to not show you. Sorry, my clients are really strict with their data NDA, and if they saw this, they would freak out. So we go to use existing posts, and then we plug in that number. We plug in, just so you guys follow me, I'm going to go to ad accounts that I'm not using. Okay, so we would come here, oops, conversions, okay. And the ad, what we would do, we would go to use existing posts, and we would put enter post ID. Then we would enter that in right there, okay? And then, so now let's go back. We would use those ads to duplicate into other campaigns. That way that all the social proof stacks, okay? So let's just go over that a few more times. I know it's a lot of different things. So come in here, we're making a new ad out of all the dynamic variables, the winning ad. It's usually 1 to 3. It's usually around 2, okay? And then we want to, once we publish that, we want to go to the page posts, get that post ID, put that into use existing ad. That way we could just duplicate that ad into all the new campaigns that we want to use to scale it. So it's just, and if we ever want to edit it, we have 2 versions. We have the OG one that we made, then we also have the one with the post ID that's running, that's in all the different ads going just the one post ID, okay? That way that all the social proof stacks. If you duplicate it and change it a little bit or accidentally do something, which happens all the time, you'll just have different social proof and it won't stack. The reason that this is important is that Facebook is looking for 2 things when it sees a new ad. It's looking for high engagement and high reach, low CPMs. So it's going to give us low CPMs off of those things. If people are feeding off of it, it's going to give us more reach. And if people are engaging in it highly, those are the things that it's looking for. And that's why we do this, that we get the engagement. This is a reach campaign. It's not a PPE campaign. We were using a PPE campaign, but now we use a reach campaign, and we're using it for retargeting on the same content ID. So just to make this clear, let me show you the targeting on that. So and this is where it all comes into play here. So this is the one product here. And remember how we made that one where it's the lookalike off that content ID? Now we're just using a custom audience of that for the last 7 days though. So we make that custom audience off of the view contents of that product that we're targeting for the last 7 days. The reason we're doing this is that for the past 6 days we've been sending people to this page, right? Now we know those people, they told us from the results that they like this ad, right? These variables. So we're doing what they told us. We took all those variables, made it to a real ad where they could comment and like on it, gets great social proof. Now we're retargeting people that have viewed all the people that have viewed that content with the ad that they like. And then we're going to use that same ad that's retargeting those people, and with the reach ad, we're going to use that same post ID, that same ad to duplicate in a new cold audience scaling campaigns. Okay, see how it's all kind of a full circle here? So hopefully that's not confusing, and you can see people love it. It's a 40-cent cost per click and a 3.5 CTR. So it's only $5 a day. This is an incubator campaign for it to hold the winner there and also just bake it slowly to give it good results. And I don't really care if it gets any sales. It's just to keep it there. So that's how that section works, the incubator. Make sure, there's a lot of things that go on here. Let's just go through this again. Number one, we grab the variables here, put it into this incubator campaign, create all the winning variables in one non-dynamic ad. Number two, we get the naming convention here. So we log the data, then we name it off of this, put 5, whatever this one was, F, and the best variable of the ID here. Okay, number three, what we do is, what was it? So we did sorry, getting tired. So we have the naming so it was the isolating the variables, making one to stack social proof, the naming conventions, and we also use it as a organization holder campaign to have it in one place where we could duplicate it into new campaigns from one place. It does those 3 things, okay? So now what we do is we duplicate that into this opt2, okay? This is out of the testing. This right here was testing. This right here, it's kind of testing, but we know, this is off going to some good winners, but we want to test this a little bit more just to make sure that this non-dynamic ad works still works, even though it's not dynamic, which it usually always does, okay? So then we create a new campaign. We put in all the best interests. So we go back to the data. We click on these 4 ad sets here. Okay, we look at the best audiences. We duplicate them into a new campaign. And while this is happening, usually some of these are losing in results, and we just turn those off after they do. But it's okay because we're making money in these ones now, and it's with more accurate data. Now we've optimized this one. So we have around 2 to 3 interests, 2 to 3 winning lookalikes, 2 to 3 supersets of matched lookalike interests, or just interests and interests. So, and then we put the winning ads in here that we duplicate from this reach incubator campaign. And then what we do is we actually add 2 more lookalikes. I know this is complicated. There's a lot going on, but this is advanced. You came here to take an advanced course. This is what I'm giving you, and this is really what it is here. So we have these 8 ad sets are usually the proven winners. 4 proven winners and 2 supersets. And then what we do is we make 2 new lookalikes that we introduce, but these lookalikes are off of proven data. Okay, so if you want to guess what these lookalikes are, if you paid attention, you probably could. It's the lookalike that I showed you how to make off of the view content. So remember how you go in the audience section, you make the view content Maybe we should just make it again. So you go to, I'll show you. Just for refreshers, website. Okay, this is off an ad account I don't use. So we go to this one, website, view content, refined by, remember how we do this, put in the content ID, paste in whatever the pixel was, whatever, and then add the purchases. So we make this one usually by 90 days, okay, and then we make that a custom audience, and then what we do is so we make that a custom audience, and then we make a lookalike off of 1% from that and a 10% from that. Now this whole entire testing system is for one product, okay? And it is a lot of work, but if you're going to be a performance marketing shop, or if you really want to get better ROAS, what moves the lever the most is getting down to the minute details, the nitty gritty, and doing a little bit extra of tedious work that the other media buying agencies or the other e-commerce competitors aren't willing to do. And that's where this comes into play. So now we have those two, and coming off of that one product that we've been using this past week, all the people that are buying, we're just giving that data more and duplicating it and scaling it horizontally, okay? So that's the end of the testing procedure. This usually works pretty good, and then what we do is if one's losing, we'll just duplicate it and delete it, and delete the one that's losing, and just keep on doing it. I have off 2, off 3, off 4, off 5, off 6, all the way to 10 or 12 or whatever. I've had highest one has gone to like 12, okay? So we do that, and then we start pulling those winning ad sets into scaling strategies. All right, and that's what we're going to go over in the next video. So I hope you like that testing procedure. It is a lot. You might need to watch it a few more times, but that's our procedure. That's how we use it, and it's proven for e-commerce specifically. I hope you like it and utilize it. I hope it makes you a lot of money. All right, thanks.